Did you know that an officer has to do at least 5 things every time before he actually begins a eye test, or the proper name of the Horizontal Gaze Nystagmus Test, when he makes a DWI stop, investigation, and arrest, for him to have valid results every time? I'm Attorney Keith Whiddon. I'm a lawyer in Monroe, and I've also taken the same 24-hour standardized field sobriety testing course that every DWI officer in the state of Louisiana is required to take. Today, we're going to talk just about what the officer must do or must check for before he even begins the eye test, or the proper name, Horizontal Gaze Nystagmus Test. Right here, looking at this manual, the same manual that I received my standardized field sobriety testing training from, are the steps that the officer must go through. First, the officer must check and see if the person that's pulled over is wearing eyeglasses. If the test is performed while the driver is wearing eyeglasses, the results of the test may be invalid because the officer can misinterpret the results. Wearing eyeglasses can actually prevent the arresting officer from being able to see your eyes clearly. The only exception to this is if the person that is pulled over cannot actually see the pin or the finger that the officer is using to perform the test. That is the only exception. Second, the officer has to give specific verbal instructions every single time. If the officer does not give the instructions correctly, the results of the test are not valid, because how can you perform a test whenever you're not given the correct instructions? And the correct instructions are in the book. They are to be repeated like that every single time right here on page 33 of the officer's training manual. The officer must tell the driver to put his feet together, keep his head still, look at the stimulus, only the stimulus, follow the stimulus with your eyes and your eyes only, keep looking at the stimulus until the test is over. Those are the same instructions the officer must give every single time for him or her to get a valid test result from the Horizontal Gaze Nystagmus Test. The officer must position the stimulus above eye level, not at eye level. The reason why the stimulus must be above eye level is because the officer is trying to get you to open your eyelids as much as possible without you tilting your head. Because if you tilt your head, that can induce a false positive or can create nystagmus. But whenever the officer positions the pin, the stimulus, his finger just right, then he gets your eyelids open all the way without you moving your head back. Then the officer has to check for number 1, equal pupil size, and the non-existence of resting nystagmus. What nystagmus is, it's the involuntary jerking of your eyes. But the officer has to make sure that, number 1, your pupils are of equal size. If your pupils are different sizes, you might have a brain condition that needs to be checked out. You might need to go to the hospital right away. Then if you have resting nystagmus, which means that just standing still, just looking at the pen without it moving back and forth, that means that your eyes are jerking on their own without the officer doing anything. And so any result that the officer gets, he's going to find nystagmus anyway. So the results of the test will not be valid. And finally, the officer has to make sure that whenever he does the test swipe, that your eyes are tracking at the same speed each way. Because if you have one eye moving and another one lagging behind, or one eye moving and the other one isn't, you're either blind in one eye or you have a brain problem and you may need to go to the hospital. But these are the 5 things just so the officer gets you set up and have a valid result to the Horizontal Gaze Nystagmus Test. Thank you for sticking around until the end of this video. If you found the information in the video helpful or informative or entertaining, do me a favor. Click the subscribe button and ring the bell notification so you can be a part of the first 1,000 subscribers to this channel And you'll get notified every time we post a new video, podcast, or other information that you may find helpful. If you have questions about a criminal case and you want to talk to me, then scan the QR code over here or check the link in the bio below. And if you have questions about an expungement, need an expungement for an old case, scan this QR code over here or use the link that's in the bio below. And if you want to watch another video that I've made, just click this one right here.